Hey, this is Rick Kaselj, injury specialist from exercisesforinjuries.com. In today's video, I wanted to go through the 6-step knee pain treatment at home. Now, with step 1, I'll get Andrea to demonstrate and then I'll go through it in more detail. Good. So that ends up being step 1, improve knee range of motion. Oftentimes when you end up having knee pain, you don't want to move it, but it's really important to maintain the range of motion you have in the knee and also build on that range of motion in the knee. So what Andrea was doing, so she was working on straightening the leg out, so she's working on neutral and also a little bit of extension. A lot of times that end range is lost with knee pain, and then she's bringing the heel towards the seat and then working on that flexion. A lot of times that end range ends up being lost in people. So, have a seat so there's no weight on the knee and go through the range of motion, work on that range of motion. Now, the second step ends up being strong hips. And what you want to do is go through a deadlift movement. And Andrea is going to demonstrate. So with the hips, the feet, you end up having about hip width apart. You got a slight bend in the knee. You're moving through the hips. The rest of your body's in good alignment, and you're coming back up. Good. Going through the hips, nice and straight through here. And on the way up, you're really using your glutes and your hamstrings to get you back to that start position. Because with knee pain, a lot of times there ends up being compensation. So you end up having knee pain and you use the knee less, so you end up compensating with the hip. So what we need to do is make sure that we have good and strong hips so they can end up helping when it comes to the knee pain. And also having good and strong hips ends up decreasing the workload that the knee has to do. Now, Andrea just did it with her body weight. Now you can make it more challenging by adding like dumbbells and going through the dumbbell movement. So hip width apart, slight bend in the knees, bending at the hips, upper body straight, coming down, good, and then back up, and then pulling yourself back up with the glutes, and you also get a little bit of help when it comes to the hamstrings. Perfect. Now, commenting on the first step, like how many reps and sets to do, I would go through 5 each way when it comes to improving knee range of motion. So the sitting knee range of motion exercise. That exercise you can end up doing multiple times throughout the day. So whenever you're sitting, just to maintain and improve that range of motion in the knee. Now with the second one, the strong hips, the deadlift movement, I would end up going through 10 repetitions, and you can end up doing 3 sets of that, really working on strengthening your glutes and also secondarily your hamstrings. Now the third step ends up being single leg work. And you can end up utilizing the wall, or you can end up going through this in the door frame. So what we want to do is stand on one leg and work on that single leg standing. So Andrea has a slight bend in the knee, weight's even over the foot. She's standing upright. She's eliminating balance by having the hand on the wall. And then what she's working on is stability in the hip. So if you have good and strong hips, that'll help when it comes to knee pain. And then also she's ending up working on the muscles around that knee joint. Now with the standing, single leg work, she can end up progressing to adding a little bit of a squat. So hand on the wall and then adding a little bit of a squat, good, and then coming back up, perfect. Now what I said with the door frame is you can end up doing, I know I have clients that end up that don't have great balance and are kind of fearful of falling. So you can put the hand on the wall. Another way is, let me just step in here. I can step into the door frame and I can put my hands on the door frame, or I can push my hands up against the door frame. So I can go through my exercises and the door frame's there to kind of catch me and help me when it comes to my balance work. So that's one thing that you can end up doing in an open door frame, not this one where we have the door closed. And then looking at, so we've left that third step, working on the single leg work. Now we're moving on to the fourth step, and the fourth step ends up being strengthening that knee through full range of motion. So with the third step, we did single leg work to work on balance in the knee and stability in the hips. Now we want to make sure that we end up maintaining that strength. So maintaining it and improving that strength in the knee. So the first exercise you can end up doing is like a single leg tubing press. So I can get some resistive tubing, and Andrea's going to grab it with her hands, loop it over the middle part of her foot, and then hold it, and she's going to straighten that leg. Good, bend, straighten, and then bend and straighten. So it's like a single leg press movement. So now she's just working on strengthening the muscles around that knee joint. Now, if you're past this point, and this is too easy for you, what you can end up doing is a vertical shin squat. So we're going to demonstrate with this suspension trainer. So you're grabbing the handles, you're going to lean back, and what you're trying to do is you're really trying to work on keeping the shin vertical. Good, coming, yeah, good, and back. So great. The shin's vertical, weights back, bring the hips down. You're gonna go to 90, but then ideally you want to try to go a little bit deeper. So I'll get you to go a little bit deeper. Good. So your hips are passing the knees and then coming back up. And the reason why for that is when you go to 90, it's mainly the quads or the front of the thighs that are working. When you get below 90, then we start getting the glutes into it and helping us out of that bottom position. With the shins vertical, that ends up putting the least amount of stress on that knee joint in the squatting movement. Now, you might not have one of these fancy dancy thingamajiggers, but what you can end up doing is I can end up grabbing the door frame or something really secure that's not going to go anywhere, that's going to hold your body weight. I can lean back and then go through that movement. Okay? When it comes to the doorknobs, be cautious. This is like an industrial strength one, so depending if you're doing this at home, just be cautious of the doorknob, or you might rip it off. Okay, so that ends up being the fourth step that you want to end up doing when it comes to a knee pain treatment at home. Now, two other steps that you want to focus in on, and they're not really involve exercises. The fifth one ends up being decrease and eliminate unnecessary stress. And what I mean by that is the more that you end up standing, or the more bend that there is in the knee, the more stress that it ends up being put on that knee. So the least amount of stress on the knee is when you're in a lying down position, then it ends up being sitting, then it ends up being standing. So if you stand, if you don't have to stand, sit down or lie down, that'll take away unnecessary stress. Now if you keep your knee in a bent position, so for example, if you sit with your legs underneath you when you're sitting, that puts more stress on your knee. So it's better to sit with your legs straight. That ends up putting less stress on the knee and eliminates unnecessary stress. So make those couple tweaks so that there's no unnecessary stress on the knee, so the knee can end up healing and recovering from the knee pain, as opposed to constantly being irritated because of this unnecessary stress being put on it. Now the sixth one ends up being addressing inflammation. And when it comes to this, what I recommend is if you end up doing activity, even like after work, or if you end up going for a walk or standing for a long period of time, ice that knee. Give that, cool down that knee with ice. What I recommend is 10 to 15 minutes of icing. So taking a bag of ice, putting a towel on the knee, putting the ice bag on top of that towel, and then icing that knee for a good 10-15 minutes. Everyone responds differently when it comes to icing and how long they can handle. But a big thing you want to remember is that there is no ice burning happening on the skin. That's why you end up having the towel. And then you can see what works better for you, if you're going to get the effect that you want in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So there you go. That ends up being the 6 steps. The 6-step knee pain treatment at home. Go through those 6 things at home, and it'll end up drastically helping your knee pain. Now, if you like this video, and if you're looking for some of my other tricks when it comes to addressing knee pain, what I recommend for you to do is click right here. I have a free new report called 5 Tricks That Fight Knee Pain and Tightness. just click right here, let me know where to send the report, and I'll send you that report right away. Now, if you're watching this device or watching this video on a mobile device or a tablet or smartphone, head down below into the description and click the first link, which will end up being exercisesforinjuries.com/knees. Let me know where to send that report and I'll send it to you right away. Now, if you got benefit from this video and you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video. If you have a question for me or a comment or a video idea, head down below into the comments section and leave it there. Now, before you leave this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you end up getting future pain relieving videos.